maybe there isn't really a good guy here. Maybe I don't have to pick a side. These are some unpopular K-pop opinions that only emotionally mature stans will be able to appreciate. Let's start off with a bang. Popular K-pop idols should be exempted from their mandatory military service. I know this one is going to piss off a lot of BTS fans who are certainly mad that BTS had to serve their enlistment. And I think that we should learn from that whole experience that went very poorly. BTS contributes billions of dollars to the South Korean government in terms of taxes and tourist revenue. And so during their enlistment, a lot of money that would be spent by Army wasn't being spent. And as a result, the South Korean economy genuinely suffered. Why does anybody think that it's a good idea to repeat that experience? We should learn from that and say that if the goal of the mandatory military service is for Korean young men to contribute positively to Korean society, shouldn't we facilitate them doing so in the most useful way possible? Sometimes maybe that looks like allowing them to continue doing what they're doing because it's actually contributing more to the country than having them sweep the floors at a barracks. People want to pretend that K-pop idols aren't special, but maybe we need to accept that K-pop idols are kind of special, and sometimes if you want to get the most out of a resource, it's best to utilize it as it was designed. Bottom line, stop forcing K-pop idols to enlist when they would be better served not doing so. Dear K-pop labels, if you don't put your singles on Spotify at the same time as you drop them on YouTube, I will forget that they exist. This is just a warning. I'm just letting you know that it's going to happen. There's no way I'm going to remember to go back a week later after an album drops and go at it. And there's no way I'm going to buy an album because I literally don't even own a CD player, and you're not going to get me with the photo cards either. So if you want me to listen to your music, you better make it possible for me to do so. Post it on Spotify or be left off my playlist. Here's one that's probably going to ruffle a couple of feathers. You don't actually have to pick sides in every single conflict that happens on the internet. I know. This is a really edgy opinion, and if you're new to the internet, like you haven't been here for longer than 10 to 15 years, maybe you still think that your opinion about other people's interpersonal matters elsewhere on the other side of the world matters. Let me be the first to tell you it very much does not. Other people's business is none of your business. And sometimes other people's business gets blasted on tabloids and you get an incomplete version of what's going on in a situation. One thing you'll come to find as you become an adult is that there's very seldom a good guy and a bad guy to every situation. Most of the time, there's a little bit of good and a little bit of bad on both sides of a situation. This isn't always the case, but I think particularly when you look at a circumstance like the 50-50 matter, we really don't know what happened there. And frankly, everybody involved with it looks messy. And so it's okay to just say, maybe there isn't really a good guy here. Maybe I don't have to pick a side. Maybe it's okay for me to just enjoy listening to the music that I enjoy listening to, and it doesn't actually matter because my opinion doesn't have any bearing on the situation whatsoever. It's possible for you to want the old 50-50 members to succeed and to want the new 50-50 members to succeed at the same time. It's possible for those opinions to coexist peacefully, I promise. Your life will be better if you stop trying to force everything into a black and white mold and accept that sometimes things exist in shades of gray, and you don't always have to choose one way or the other. It's okay to just be happy for people succeeding. It's allowed, I promise. I give you permission. You have my permission not to pick sides in the 50-50 conflict. Expecting Korean idols to automatically know and adhere to Western cultural sensitivity standards isn't actually very culturally sensitive. People love to get up in arms about cultural appropriation, but that literally isn't even a concept that exists in Korea. That's totally something that was developed in America as a way to get white people to stop being such jerks about the cultural relics of the people that we had enslaved and stolen land from. Need I remind you, none of the people in South Korea are responsible for doing any of that. And they don't even have a culture where you mock other cultures by using their relics. So when they use the the relics of other cultures, that's a way of showing appreciation for those cultures. Getting mad at Young Posse for having hip-hop themed music when they're paying direct homage to the titans of hip-hop who came before them is missing the point entirely, and it's projecting. We don't get to tell them what's culturally appropriate in their society. We, as international K-pop stans, are interlopers and are just along for the ride. We don't have any right to dictate what's culturally acceptable in South Korean society. That's not our place, and it's not for us to decide. It's one thing to expect idols who grew up in America or Australia or other Western nations to have some kind of understanding of how delicate some of those lines are, but when you're berating and canceling idols who grew up in Korea and have never been exposed to other cultures before for not automatically being sensitive to their needs, you're not being sensitive to their needs. It's okay for us to sometimes utilize relics from other cultures without actually shitting on those cultures at the same time. We can all coexist. And yeah, here I am, a white person telling other people about cultures. There's a reason they call it a culture of bacteria too, I'm just saying. Give Koreans a little bit more space not to follow all of the same rules that you're expected to adhere to. Maybe try to give people from Korea a little bit more space to understand other cultures. And now for the unpopular opinion, I've got to try really hard not to cry. NewJeans taking some time off is for the best. Nope. I failed. I'm already doing it. Ugh. I think it's for the best that we're going to take some time away from them for a little while. They've been through so much. They've been manipulated and used as pawns. They don't have any trust in their current leadership, and they don't have any reason to trust that HYBE has their best interests at heart. But anyone with half a brain who's looking at it from a distance can see that Min Hee-jin doesn't have their best interests at heart. But they've cast their lot in with her because they don't know any better. And I'm frankly grateful that HYBE hasn't allowed Min Hee-jin to return to her CEO role. As much as NewJeans might like to see Min Hee-jin return to her role as CEO, that's not a realistic outcome right now. And so, as a result, they just need to take some time to heal. They don't know that they've been groomed. It's impossible to know something like that until you get a little bit of distance from it. I know for a fact that I was groomed when I was 18, and at the time I thought I was a cool 18-year-old. Oh, I'm an adult, but you're not really an adult at 18. You're still figuring it out. And it wasn't until I was in my late 20s that I realized just how heavily I had been manipulated by all of these cool dudes I met from the internet who were in their 20s and I thought had some kind of interest in me. But I was just dumb and 18. And when you're dumb and 18, you think you're an adult. And unfortunately, people will still take advantage of you. And you have the autonomy as if you're an adult, but not the maturity to recognize when you're being manipulated and taken advantage of. NewJeans has been overworked within an inch of their lives since they began their careers, and really before then when they were in training. And they're clearly emotionally distraught, and they need time to heal. They simply need time to heal from this. They need therapy. They need to process their emotions. They need to come to terms with the fact that they don't get to control the world that they exist in. As much as they may prefer working with Min Hee-jin made choices that are making their lives more difficult now. Hani was upset that she was being shunned in the hallway without any awareness of the fact that she was being shunned because of Min Hee-jin's actions. Without Min Hee-jin's actions, none of that workplace mistreatment would have happened at all. Min Hee-jin is the alpha and omega of the entire issue, and NewJeans is too close to it to realize it. And they're too emotionally attached to Min Hee-jin, who has cultivated a completely unprofessional and incestuous relationship with them where she acts as if she's their mother. They don't have parents. Their parents have failed them. Their labels have failed them. All of us have failed NewJeans. And as a result, they're going to have to take some time to figure out what their next steps are going to look like. But it's not for any of us to decide. I'll miss them, and I'll be ready to stream the crap out of them when they come back. If you haven't been watching Music Bank recently, by the way, Eunchae finally retired as MC. This was something that I called for in one of my earlier Unpopular Opinions videos, and now that it's here, it's so very bittersweet. I still think that was the right choice, though, so why don't you go watch that episode next and see what I had to say about that. Don't be toxic, and I'll catch you next time.